Well, Susie, what are we doing here today?
Well, I think we should plan the holiday.
Yep, I think it's planning the holiday. Have you any thoughts about what you might like to do this year?
Well, it would be quite nice to go and see Dad down on the Great Ouse.
Whereabouts on the Great Ouse is he?
I believe he's somewhere near St Ives.
St Ives, I think that's right. Where's St Ives on the map?
Is that doable?
I don't know, let's have a little look. So St Ives on the map, that's right now down here near Bedford, isn't it? So that would involve us coming down the Grand Union Leicester line onto the main Grand Union Canal. And then it would mean we have to go to Gaydon Junction.
Gaydon Junction, yeah.
Gaydon Junction, that's right. And then that would involve us going down the Northampton flight of locks. I think there are a lot of locks on that.
Oh, that would be fun. You doing those or am I?
We'll have to see. We're going to do them both ways. So,
right.
And then we have to go all the way down the Nene. So that's a river, that's not a canal.
Okay.
And then across the Fens.
So just as well we've got our gold licence.
Just as well we've got our gold licence, yeah.
Okay.
I think that looks to me like about 150 to 170 miles. And we have to get there and back in 2 weeks.
Is that doable?
I don't know, it seems like a long way, doesn't it?
It does seem like a long way.
We better have a look at some of the charts and to have a look and see. So we set off full of excitement and maybe a little bit of apprehension. Day one was going to be quite easy for us. We had to drop down the 53 feet of the Watford locks and then head down the Wilton locks, which is a further 63 feet down. I'd hoped to get as far as around about Bugbrook before I stopped for the night. Unlike the Watford locks, the Wilton locks are double width and quite heavy. They really do take a bit of opening and shutting. Just before you reach Buckby Lock number 8, you pass the Anchor Cottage gift shop. It's a great place to get an ice cream. The other feature about the Buckby locks is that the pounds are quite long. But it was a nice hot day, so I strolled between them while Susie took the boat. By mid-afternoon we were almost at the bottom of the locks and approaching Wilton Marina. We planned to stop here to buy an anchor. It's a piece of kit that's essential if you're going to take the boat onto either rivers or tidal waters, and we intended to do both. After leaving Wilton Marina, we set off again on our journey. We had about 6 miles or so left to run, and this was really nice canal to travel down. It is actually sandwiched between the M1 and the railway line, but to be honest, most of the time you can see neither. There's quite a hairpin in the canal at bridge 23A, and we found we had to slow down quite a lot to get round easily. As we passed through Weedon Beck, I noticed that already boats were starting to pull over for the evening. It was getting quite busy. At this point we crossed a very small aqueduct over the Nene. As you pass through Stow Hill, there are some lovely properties that back onto the canal. I particularly liked the turret on the one on the right. Wasn't too long after that we found a nice little spot in the countryside just to stop and moor. To be honest with you, my preferred mooring spots are those out in the country where it's nice and quiet. We awoke on the second day to a lovely sunny morning. It was really beautiful, and even at sort of 7:30, 8 o'clock it was still very warm. We only had 12 miles to go today, which would see us leave the Grand Union Canal, go down the Northampton branch and onto the Nene. The challenge for the day was the 20 locks that lie between us and our overnight stop. It wasn't long before we reached Gayton Junction. It was quite a busy and popular spot, but there's also a facilities point here with water, and you can also get diesel and gas. It was here we made the tight turn onto the Northampton arm and headed towards the locks. In the late 1700s, the only way to get coal and timber from Northampton was via the River Nene or Nene, depending on who you talk to. It was in 1815 when a new canal was opened, linking Northampton all the way up to the Grand Union Canal. This meant building a set of locks over a 4.5 mile stretch to climb the 109 feet difference. Interestingly enough, the canal itself replaced a tramway that had been used up until then. It's amazing to think that even as late as 1960, the canal was still in commercial use. By now it was really hot, the sun was beating down, and I was really glad of a bit of shade at Lock 7. We'd been warned about the pound just before Lock 12. It was really low on water. It was touch and go whether we could get across or not. soon we were back out into the searing sun again as we crossed the meadows just before you get to Northampton. The Northampton flight remained really picturesque all the way down to around about Lock 16, when the industrial nature of Northampton starts to encroach on the canal. And so by early afternoon we found ourselves leaving the last lock and heading out onto the Nene for the first time. Our route down from here would take us to the left, but before we could proceed any further we had to go straight on and into the Marina to pick up some special keys that you need if you're going to navigate this river. Just as you enter the Marina, the visitors' mooring is to the right and we moored up there. There's also water on that pontoon which we took the opportunity to fill the tanks up. I have to say the Marina staff were really helpful. They gave us lots of useful advice. By the time we got underway, the wind had got up again, and I knew turning round and getting into that lock was going to be tricky. The bow just kept on blowing away every time I tried to turn. Still, I persevered and eventually we got around. A very kind passerby offered to open the lock gates for us, but unfortunately the lock was empty, so without a key she couldn't help. As we left Northampton, the character of the Nene started to change. It widened out and we found ourselves in an area called the Washlands. This is a special protection area for wildlife and particularly birds. Things like golden plover, gadwall, redshank and lapwing can all be found here. Just before we were to go through the Western Flavel Lock, we spied this nice little mooring, so we decided it was a good place to spend the night. As well as being a nature reserve, the Washlands is also a great place for walking. We had a lovely walk around the reservoir. Looking at it, it also looks like it might be used for flood defences. If anybody knows how this works, then please let me know. Next episode we tackle a new type of lock to us, which almost ends in disaster. We have to modify the boat to get under some bridges and we meet some new friends. Until then, if you've enjoyed the vlog, then please click the like button and subscribe. Thank you for watching.